So today, we're going to watch some Zach D films. Ignore this. This is my new computer. It's a Windows 7. I know it's going to be old and for a reason. And it's slow. But we're watching Zach D films. If you ever watched Zach D films, great. Because I never watched his new videos at all. And that YouTube is going to be my Okay, I double tapped it. You like my keyboard? You like my setup? I know it's not good. I don't have a PC right now. So that way, my thing is slow for a reason. Hold up. Sorry, Scott, no. So, oh, sorry. Computer. His story marathon. He's live. But should we watch his stories or Zach D films? We're gonna watch Zach D films. Then we're gonna watch his story for the next video. I'm gonna subscribe to him because he's so great. Okay, I want to see. Okay, first one.
If you shut a giant book on your head, you might think it would be heavy enough to crack open your skull. But the human head is made of dense bone, and it can actually withstand over 500 pounds of pressure. Now, a frog's bones are much weaker and could definitely be smashed by a regular book. But it would take an 8-foot-tall book closing on your head to crush your skull completely. If you shut a giant...
Dang! That's crazy!
If you jumped from a 50-story building, you might think bubble wrap could save you. That's because bubble wrap compresses under impact. But you would need a mattress over 7 feet thick, enough to slow your fall gradually and spread the force over a large area. And if you wrapped yourself in bubble wrap, you'd need over 15,000 layers. This would create a suit nearly 500 feet thick to absorb the same force. If you jumped from a 50-story building, you might... When Pinocchio lies, his nose grows. So what would happen if he said, "My nose is about to grow"? If it did not grow, then that would mean he was lying, which would cause his nose to grow. But his nose growing would then indicate that he was not lying, which means his nose should have never grown. What do you think would happen? When Pinocchio...
I don't know.
She would sit at her window.
Oh.
She would sit at her window and imagine you wake up. She would sit at her window and track when her neighbors left for work, when they ate their meals, and when they went to bed. Now, she just liked to keep tabs on the neighborhood, which is how she noticed the new neighbor moving in across the street. She quickly got a fresh new sheet and began taking notes. Now, everything was normal for a while. Until one night, she heard something weird. She rushed to the window and saw the man driving away with something in his trunk. Hours later, he returned, covered in dirt. He showered and went to bed. Now, on its own, this could have meant nothing, but she was convinced that he was up to no good. The next night, she was ready.
Okay, it was fiction, so it's not
he
real.
dropped a big bag into the trunk, drove into the night, came back dirty, and took a shower. Weeks passed, her walls filling with guesses on where he was going and what he was doing. At this point, she was convinced of two things. There were bodies in those bags, and no one was going to believe her.
Dang!
She finally called the police because she was just too convinced that he was a killer. The officer came and calmly explained that her neighbor wasn't doing anything illegal. When Pinocchio, she would sit.
Flip that.
Imagine you wake up and everyone on your flight is unconscious, but the plane is flying perfectly straight, so the pilots must be fine, right? You make your way to the
There's no
cockpit.
pilot.
One pilot collapsed in the doorway. The other is slumped over in his chair. Now, this could be a dream, but you grab the mic and scream for help anyway. There's no response. You decide to push the pilot out of the seat, but his arm catches the controls and moves it around. The alarm screams. Lights flash. The plane is dropping fast. You grab the controls. It's heavy and confusing, but after a few terrifying minutes, you sort of figured it out. You're actually keeping the plane roughly level, but the plane is still slowly descending. Now you're low enough to see a long stretch of field. You could try to land now. You've got a feel for the controls, and you think you could figure out the throttle. Or you could just keep flying and hope someone wakes up. But this field could be your only chance. What do? Imagine you...
I will land.
They rolled him into the nursing home, even though he didn't want to go. And they took his beloved dog with them when they left. Now his days were filled with pills, checkups, and bland meals served on trays. But without his dog, everything felt hollow. He began to notice things. Pills left untouched, piling up on tables. Now he recognized these medications. Drugs that, mixed wrong, could be deadly. And soon after, people around him started dying, one by one. Each loss explained away by staff as just old age. Late one night, he called his daughter and whispered, "It isn't safe here." He begged her to let him move back home, but she just asked if he had been taking his pills. As the days passed, more deaths followed. Then a nurse collapsed suddenly in the dining hall. This time, there was no explanation. The staff scrambled, ordering cameras to be installed. Weeks later, his daughter was called in for a meeting. The police were there. They pulled up grainy footage of the old man. He was crushing pills, mixing the powder into the communal sugar jar. A nurse stirred the sugar into her coffee, took a sip, and collapsed. It was him. The family turned in horror, but he just smiled while petting his dog. "I told you, it isn't safe here." They rolled him.
He's going. I don't know who he's going. That's
This is the ATO building my
Shut up.
If you grew 4 times bigger, you might think you could leap over houses or shove cars out of your way. But it would actually take much longer for your nerve signals to travel through your body. So you would react slower and move like you were in slow motion. And when you scale up like that, your body doesn't just get 4 times heavier, it gets over 60 times heavier because your volume increases in every direction. But your bones don't scale the same way, meaning taking a few steps could fracture your bones, and your spine could collapse under your own weight. If you grew 4 times bigger, you might think you could leap over. A family ran from their burning home in the middle of the night. The
Oh, this is a
parents
real
and
story.
4 kids escaped, but 5 children never made it out. After the fire died down, rescuers searched the ash, but no remains were found. Experts said the blaze was so hot it completely cremated them, but it only burned for 45 minutes, which isn't long enough to turn bones into ash. Now, some thought the kids had been kidnapped, and others even claimed to see the children alive, hundreds of miles away. The parents never stopped searching, convinced the fire wasn't the end of their children, but they have never been found. A family ran from their burning home.
That's crazy.
Love Roblox? He hammered the nail into the fence because every time he lost his temper, his father made him add another nail. After getting into too many fights at school, the fence started filling up. But this was super annoying to do, so the boy tried to stay calm. And soon enough, he stopped getting into fights. His father then told him that every time he controlled his temper, he was to pull a nail out. And over time, all the nails were gone. But the boy noticed how the holes were still visible. His father explained that anger leaves marks the same way. You can apologize, but the damage might always be there. He hammered the nail into the fence.
I'm gonna do a few more before I could.
They glued the dead snail to a museum card before putting it on display, and it stayed in the same spot for years before they noticed that the card had become discolored. And when they removed it, they found a film over the shell's opening. So they placed it in warm water, and slowly the film softened, and the snail pushed its head out, still alive. It had survived by shutting its body down for 4 years until conditions were safe again. They glued the dead snail to a museum card.
Dang it, it wasn't a dead snail at all?
It stayed in the... Hold the ribbon between your ring finger
I'm gonna do 4
and middle
more.
finger while making the peace sign. Then lay it over your middle finger and under your pointer. Loop it around your pointer and under your middle finger, making a figure 8. And after doing the same thing once more, pull the tail between your fingers. Next, pull the tail up and turn your hand over before threading the ribbon under itself. And after pulling it tight and cutting the tails, you'll have the perfect butterfly bow. Hold the ribbon.
Holy.
He dropped his hammer while working in the field, so his friend grabbed a metal detector and they started looking. The device suddenly started beeping and they thought they had found the hammer. So they dug into the ground, but ended up uncovering silver spoons, then gold jewelry and ancient coins. He called the police, and the next day, archaeologists rushed in, finding over 14,000 Roman coins, along with pounds of jewelry and tableware that had been buried in the field for about 1,600 years. The two ended up sharing the loot that was worth millions. He dropped his hammer while working in the field, so his friend...
You haven't seen this.
2 more.
If everyone on Earth clipped their toenails and threw them into the ocean, you might think they'd float and blanket a huge area.
won't.
But toenails don't actually float, so they would pile up at the bottom of the ocean. As over 82 billion clippings rained down, it would choke fish and smother the seafloor until a massive pile broke through the surface. And after this global clipping, you would have a walkable toenail island, 10 times bigger than Central Park. If everyone on...
That's great. That's good. Okay, this is the last
A few
one.
days ago, I posted a video about why Kentucky Fried Chicken changed their name to KFC, and my explanation was wrong. You see, I explained that the name change was KFC's way of nixing the word Kentucky, so they wouldn't have to pay licensing fees. But after posting this video, I noticed some of the comments were claiming I was full of so I retraced my steps and found where I went wrong. You see, I got this information from a Snopes article, but I didn't realize that Snopes had rated this article as Lost Legend. A Lost Legend rating is their way of trolling people, and I fell for it. A few days ago...
Alright. That's enough for today. Bye, guys.